Can't tell if it's live. This is a new setup. Eric, are we live?
Yes.
All right. We are live. Welcome to Free the Truth News. I'm Jennifer Justice. Today in studio with me, I have Will Turbit with Demand the Truth. He's got a YouTube channel and he's on all the social media. You go ahead and tell them about that if you want. But
Yeah, pretty much all the platforms. I don't know how long I'll be on YouTube. They've already demonetized my channel. They said it's been harmful to people, although one of the three parts of the platform Demand the Truth is nonpartisan, non-violent, and using the Socratic method. We've never ever called for violence. So we've already been demonetized and shadow banned. I actually did a video the other day where I picked up a phone at Best Buy and I typed in my YouTube channel and it didn't show up, and then when it did, the last 8 videos that I'd done were not there. So I'm on YouTube, but I'm also on Instagram Demand the Truth, Facebook Demand the Truth, I'm on BitChute, I'm on Minds, I'm on all the platforms under Demand the Truth.
all right, so yeah, go follow Will Turbit on your favorite platform at Demand the Truth. I noticed, I was on your channel the other day and I noticed that your 9/11 video got taken down. So
I didn't even know, they didn't even tell me that.
yeah, it was taken down. Oh, I know it. Now you're pissed. Well, we're gonna start off today's show with some good news, but first I gotta backtrack because I never covered this, although most people know about it. But so like a month or so ago, there was a hashtag trending cancel Netflix over Netflix movie Cuties, which is, oh my goodness, you guys, it's I can't even wrap my head around why Netflix would put filth like this out. But it's about 11 to 12-year-old girls on a dance troupe, twerking. It's ridiculously explicit and sexual. But the good news is that on October 1st, the Texas Rangers delivered up an indictment against Netflix. And so they are currently being sued over lewd visual material of a child in the film Cuties. I don't know if you have anything to say on...
Well, I've been involved in the, I hate to use this, truth movement or whatever you want to call it, for probably at least 16 years now. And this is one of the prime examples of us having a victory and pushing something into the mainstream. This was completely pushed into the mainstream by people who know about Pedogate or Pizzagate, or who are concerned with child trafficking or Child Protective Services, DCYF. And that was pushed into the mainstream. Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat, tweeted about it, as did Ted Cruz, a Republican. And this, I would consider this a victory, even if nothing happens in this case. It still provided a large amount of awareness for people about, this is really going on. We shouldn't be sexualizing our children. And it just goes to show that, although it might not seem like it in the mainstream news or in government, we are a powerful force. And if we continue to work collectively and organize around important things like this and kind of fall for the less divide and conquer stuff, selective outrage, once we get towards something, that's what really changes things. We can have Democrats and Republicans, but when people on either side of the aisle get really upset about something and push that issue, that's when we can really make a change. So I think it's a great thing.
I agree, and actually I think the real victory is the fact that during the height of the hashtag cancel Netflix trend, Netflix lost over $9 billion in revenue because everyone was canceling their subscriptions. Just craziness. But they've been doubling down despite all the loss of customers and revenue, and saying that, this is supposed to be a commentary on the hypersexualization of our children, to bring awareness to it. I'm sorry. You bring awareness to the exploitation of children by exploiting children? That makes no sense to me.
And I find it interesting that they're doubling down, but when you look at the reason they may be doubling down, it might seem actually logical. You have people like the Obamas and Susan Rice now. Susan Rice is on the board of directors for Netflix. And when you have that, in my opinion, these people have completely lost it with TV. Nobody watches TV anymore. Some boomers watch TV, and some people that aren't so smart, no offense to you if you watch TV, watch TV. Nobody really watches TV anymore. So they've completely lost their grasp on the majority of American minds, both left and right. And so they see Disney Plus, they see Netflix as this is our new, because we're in the Wild West of the internet right here. And so they want to put their flag in the ground and say, well, we're going to take up all your consumption. We're going to move you from TV to our allowed platform that we're going to allow you to be on. And so these people also, I mean, if you take a look at who the people, the Obamas, the Susan Rice, those type of folks surround themselves with, you could see why they would want to double down on this, and especially since they don't really want to admit that they were wrong in the first place. And of course you would say that. Of course I'm bringing awareness after the fact once you've called me out. But if you look at the video and the description of the video, I have not watched the video, but if you look at the description of the video, it says nothing about the fact that they're trying to expose the hypersexualization of children. Quite the opposite, it seems to me.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of clips from it. Very, very disturbing. It's so disturbing. It makes me nauseous anytime somebody posts it. And I get wanting to bring it to people's attention, but I decided against posting any of those clips here. It makes me completely nauseous. In other news, though, on Friday, the Supreme Court ruled that Governor Whitmer of Michigan had zero grounds under the EMA, which is the Emergency Management Act, to extend or renew any of her quarantine protocols in Michigan past April 30th, 2020. Additionally, they also ruled that she did not possess the authority to exercise emergency powers under the EPGA either. And so that basically means that I think there was over 100 different executive orders that she put out following April 30th. And she's in complete violation since April 30th of her constitutional oath of office. And yet she's out there still trying to find other avenues and stuff in order to push the quarantine measures. So,
well, the thing about that is it's not just her, unfortunately. It's in every state. Now, I've been speaking to people across the political spectrum for a while now, saying, where do you derive this authority to break up funerals, to have checkpoints? I mean, there's checkpoints. I've went through a checkpoint in Rhode Island. There was checkpoints there. There was one in Florida.
You got to be kidding me. There was a checkpoint in Rhode Island?
For a while, and it was just set up at the beginning of 95 north, coming from Connecticut. And it said on the overpass there, you have to pull over if you're from out-of-state quarantine. As a matter of fact, the Rhode Island Accountability Project and a few other people got in the car. They specifically rented a car with New York license plates and then drove back around. Sure enough, they were pulled over because they didn't automatically go over, and they were asking, where do you have the right to do this? Then Cuomo decided he was going to sue Raimondo over that. So then Raimondo expanded the checkpoint to everybody, and eventually the checkpoint went away. But even conservative states like Florida, twice upon entering Florida, I have to go. It's not even a choice like Rhode Island. You're diverted off into the side, and they have these workers there that ask you where you came from, what state you came from, and this and that. So unfortunately, I mean, this country was founded during a pandemic where smallpox was going on when George Washington was leading his troops around this country fighting the redcoats. And some people say that the 10th Amendment gives people, there's other people that cite another part of the Constitution that says, well, in the interest of public safety and public health, and so they believe in their minds that, hey, anything in public interest, we can go ahead and subvert your rights. But I would disagree with that because why even have a constitution and enumerate all these inalienable rights if just because on a whim you can say we're doing this for public safety or public health? I think if you read the Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalist Papers, the writings of Jefferson, of Franklin, of Madison, it's quite clear that they didn't intend for that part of the Constitution to be used to overthrow the entire Constitution. And it's very unfortunate too, because even the people on the right have been, I mean, Trump swore an oath to the Constitution and against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I've been arguing with these Trump people, and they're saying, well, you know, I mean, it's the governor shutting it down. Well, they said, well, the Trump gave the choice to the governors. Well, it's not, you don't have a choice to shut down the right to worship. You don't have the right to shut down businesses. You don't have the right to break up funerals or inflict curfews on people. You don't have that right at all. So unfortunately, in my analysis, the people of the United States have been brainwashed and have not been paying enough attention to what the Constitution means, what the proper relationship between a government and its citizens and its public servants should be. And since we haven't done our job as we the people holding their feet to the fire for a long enough time, people don't understand anything. And now, on a whim, they can just shut everything down and all of our rights are gone. So it's good to see that, you know, people are pushing back with the lawsuits, people are protesting and speaking out. But we really need to do a better job of letting our public officials know that you swore an oath to the Constitution. And all of these people, I mean, there's so, not even just COVID. You got the drug war, the NSA, the CIA, the illegal wars, all this stuff. These people swore an oath to the Constitution. And when you do the opposite of that, you're guilty of treason. And I don't wish the death penalty on anybody, and I don't encourage the death penalty, but the penalty for treason is death. So these people need to take their jobs a little more seriously. I'm not calling for violence at all, but people need to understand that when you swear an oath to the Constitution and the American people, you should try to take that seriously.
And that's one of the huge issues. The reason why this keeps happening over and over and over again is because when these people break their oath of the Constitution, there's no punishment for that. They get a slap on the wrist, right? What's happening with Whitmer? I mean, she's got a lot of people suing her for a lot of different things. So, I mean, at least there's that. But in terms of, you know, the Supreme Court ruled that she was in violation of the Constitution, what happened? Nothing happened. And now she's going through the Department of Health and Human Services to try and continue to push for these mandates in Michigan.
And so the thing is, it's good to sue, but I think
more needs to be happening. Well, definitely.
I would like to shout out the people of Puerto Rico, because if you really want something to happen, you have to get off your butt, you have to get off your computer, and these guys kicked out the governor of Puerto Rico over something trivial, just because he was saying negative. I mean, it was not necessarily trivial, but compared to some of the things going on, it is indeed trivial. They kicked out their governor, and they would not leave the state house until that person was gone. So we need to have people taking to the streets in a nonviolent way to do this, because otherwise they're going to just keep doing what they do. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men and women to do nothing. So.
Yeah, and there are quite a lot of groups in Michigan right now that are working on a recall on Governor Whitmer. However, in the past, I mean, there have been recalls on Senator Pan, on Governor Newsom. There have been recalls on Becca Rausch in Massachusetts, and I've not seen any of them be successful. So I think possibly more is needed here. But
and then one more thing before we move on, too. I guess the FBI just foiled a plot that would be to kidnap her by some militia people in Ohio. I was just reading right before this. And now that may be the case, but
DeWine?
Of Whitmer.
Oh, Whitmer. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, but they were apparently
you said Ohio,
from Ohio.
So.
Yeah, the people that were plotting were apparently from Ohio. There's initial reports. It just broke like an hour ago, so at least from what Google News is telling me. But we've also seen that the FBI has falsified DNA evidence for over a decade to falsely imprison people. They've, basically helped a lot of these terrorists, including in the 1993 World Trade Center attack. They had all this prior knowledge of 9/11. They covered up for Jeffrey Epstein. So this could also be something that was maybe done to have sympathy for her and kind of get the negative lawsuits and press out of it. I'm not saying that's the case. This could be totally legitimate, but also talking about militia groups, the FBI is on record infiltrated a lot of militia groups as well. So it's just something to keep an eye on.
That's an interesting thing to investigate, is these militia groups being infiltrated. That seems like treason right there, because that's one of our basic rights. I mean, the whole Second Amendment was about the right to form militias, not just to bear arms, but to actually have trained groups to protect our communities. So the fact that our government is infiltrating that that's a scary thought.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole thing, to your point, the militia is me, it's you, it's Joe from down the street, it's everybody. We are the militia. We didn't even, our founding fathers didn't even want an army, let alone a police force. They understood the danger of a standing army, and that's why we have the right to self-defense, and we are the militia, because they understood that if we had a standing army or a police force, things would get out of control, and unfortunately it has.
Yeah, I would agree with that. On the quarantine mandates and something that you said before, I mean, this is why Ben Franklin said that if you trade your liberties for a little bit of security, you will lose both and deserve neither. So if the government feels like they can overstep and push these emergency powers forward in order to for the common good, right? That was a statement that Hitler used in order to get away with a lot of this crap that he was pulling. But for the common good, right? But where does that end? I mean, it's dangerous driving on the road. Are we going to ban cars? How many people die in car accidents?
Well, people called folks like you and I crazy. I remember telling one of my brothers, I was like, I probably told him maybe 7 years ago, I said, they're going to mandate vaccines. And for the greater good, we're going to have to get vaccinated. They've been talking about that now. I mean, yeah, where does it end? Because this is, and that's the whole thing. This is what we're talking about today this is collectivism. This is saying that the state, the collective, the group is more important than the individual. And that's the antithesis of everything that the United States stands for. And so the fact that these people are out here, well, for the greater good, we got to do this. For the greater good, we got to do that. But on top of it, their hypocrisy and is crazy. You have Fauci saying the masks do work, then they don't work, then they do work. Then you have Big Pharma running the show. Then we're all taking advice from Bill Gates, who gave $2 million to Jeffrey Epstein, and only became friends with Jeffrey Epstein after he got caught raping children. And, you know, germs travel up to 25 feet, let alone 6 feet. These masks are not going to work unless they're higher quality masks. And then you have gloves, and then you wear them with goggles at the same time.
And scrubs, and you change it every 2 hours.
Every interaction.
And you wash your hands. And yeah, I mean, without the full PPE, masks are useless.
And so, I mean, and you can't even talk about that to people. And you know, and part of the reason that, you know, somebody gives me some guff sometimes, because I wore a mask inside Best Buy. I've done other videos where I've refused masks, and I will always try to refuse a mask in a public building like the State House or somewhere like that. Sometimes in my personal time, you know, I'm out fighting every day. It's a private business. They want me to wear a mask. You know, I'm just tired of fighting. I'm going to put a mask on sometimes. But so I put a mask. I got a bunch of guff for putting the mask on, you know, but at the end of the day, that's a private business. They get to do what they want. And unfortunately, that's another example of fascism, because we have these businesses. I mean, Disneyland.
I'm going to disagree with you on that. Private businesses don't have a right to infringe upon religious or medical freedoms or privacy. So if you're declining a mask for a religious reason, which I do, then they have no right to say that you can't be in their business. It's a public business. Yes, well, it's their business, but it's open to the public, and they cannot discriminate based on religion or medical disabilities.
Now, this is controversial, and you're right, but I believe that everybody should have the right to discriminate anybody that wants to come in their business for any reason, religious or otherwise. So if you're a Christian baker or a Muslim baker, you should not be forced to bake a cake.
That's not necessarily the same thing, because you're discriminating against their religious beliefs by making them bake the cake. And in the case of that baker, which happened, I mean, a couple years ago, right? He was perfectly fine making a cake for the gay couple. What he didn't want to do is they wanted him to put in frosting some kind of lewd, I don't know, like a penis or something. I have no idea. And that is what he refused to do. He didn't refuse to serve them. He just didn't want to make that particular cake.
Well, I'm a staunch advocate for private property. So I believe for any reason, or not even any reason at all, you can kick somebody out of your house. You can kick somebody out of your business, even if it's actually something that's anti-religious or racist. So people say, well, Will, that's not good. We need to have laws to make sure that racists don't open things and we don't have segregation all over again. Well, I believe that problem would be taken care of in the free market, because if you opened a business and people knew that you were racist, then people wouldn't go there. It's still, at the end of the day, let's just say these people believe that these masks are safe and effective, and they don't want you in there, then that is, at the end of the day, their private property. So, although I don't agree with the medical aspect whatsoever, the mask, or any government forcing that, I feel bad for the businesses because they don't want to look like they're. I mean, because most people aren't you and I. Most people aren't critical thinkers, and they don't want to lose their customers. They don't want them to think that they're bad people, so they'll do kind of anything that the government says just to keep their business open.
I would agree with that if there wasn't such a strong movement of propaganda in our culture. So take the masks, for example, right? If I wasn't able to walk into a place and say, legally you can't do this because it's a religious and a medical, for me it's both. It's a religious and a medical, exemption for the masks. If you were going by Will's standards, where they have the right to refuse me service regardless, I wouldn't be able to shop anywhere. My family would starve because the propaganda has been so strong and pervasive, and people are so scared and discriminatory. It's a widespread issue. I would not be able to feed my family if that was the case. And I think it's very, very easy for a government to turn people against each other using propaganda and other methods. And that's why it's very important that we maintain the rights to, buy and sell and participate in free markets.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, especially about the brainwashing, because sometimes I get upset about people, but you have to understand. I mean, Edward Bernays, who literally wrote the book on propaganda, he created public relations. Anybody that's unfamiliar with him, he's a nephew of Sigmund Freud. He took women's skirts from their ankles to their mid thighs. He took bacon, which was excess fat on the pork belly, and turned it into America's breakfast. He got women to smoke when it was a taboo, and he pioneered the phrase back in 1913 and 1915. Making the world safe for democracy, which we continue to do now. And Edward Bernays, along with people like the Huxley brothers, Bertrand Russell, and all these other societal engineers, have created a very, very thick fog of brainwashing that is basically inside every part of our life, every facet of our life, whether it's the educational sector, whether it's the media. No matter where you look, these people have infiltrated and brainwashed us. So that's part of the reason that people, are just going to follow what anybody says. Mass. They don't understand the Constitution. They don't understand science. And they think that, well, I'm not an expert, so I couldn't even have an opinion. And that's why what you do is very important, because we have to counter all of this brainwashing. And these people have millions of billions of dollars to be able to perpetuate their ideas. They have all this fancy makeup. They have all the teleprompters. And that's why I think, just having these discussions are very, very important, because otherwise people are just, we've seen how, I never thought that it would be this easy with coronavirus to just shut everything down. I always thought that the New World Order was coming. I thought we were going to maybe get there. I still thought we had time to fight. But just with a snap of the fingers, this entire year has been shut down. We're almost at the end of this year.
I can't believe how easy people are complying with this. It's astonishing to me.
It's really scary, and it kind of makes you realize, how could Hitler do something so easy? How could Stalin? Because people, unfortunately, one, they're brainwashed, and two, we've got the herd mentality, and people, unfortunately, are followers, most of them, and they don't have the backbone, and they've been brainwashed not to think anything the otherwise. So it's really scary. I honestly thought we were going in the right direction. I thought people were waking up, but it's just like I've
actually seen a lot more people waking up in other countries than I have in America. America's sleeping. A couple weeks ago on the show, I showed a video of a woman who was being arrested for not wearing a mask in Spain. And the people were so upset by that they all took off their masks and they rushed the cops. And the cops retreated. If we could only see that here. There was an arrest at a baseball field. I can't remember what state that was in. I think it was Ohio. She wasn't wearing a mask at her son's Little League baseball game. All the people in the field, no masks, but she's sitting on the bleachers, not wearing one. She gets arrested. Nobody did a thing.
And that's the thing. Not only did nobody, and like you said, there have been other things where people have tried to do things, but the people will just stand up and say something about it. That same thing that happened in Puerto Rico, same thing happened there. It takes people standing, no violence whatsoever, just takes people standing up and refusing to be bullied. That's all it really takes. And it's unfortunate too, because all the people on the right, I'm no fan of the left or the right, but the police are loving the cops. I mean, the cops are shutting down gyms, the cops are breaking up funerals, the cops are the people that separate the families with child protective services. They're not following the Constitution whatsoever. The cops, I'm talking to you guys, your job is to uphold the Constitution. You guys are paid to protect our rights. So you need to stop doing the bidding of these people. And if the cops were on our side, if the cops, Whitmer, what if one cop in the state of Michigan, one cop said, what you're doing is unconstitutional and it's illegal, you're under arrest. No, they won't do that, but they'll turn a blind eye to pedophiles. If you go 5 miles an hour faster than the speed limit, they'll pull you over. If you're not wearing a mask, you might be detained. But that's the problem is the people want to speak up, but when the guys with all the weapons aren't speaking up and standing up, and they're supposed to be the bulwark, they're supposed to be the fail-safe for us to protect our rights, we need to see some action from them too. I even saw, because I monitor all the news. I monitor CNN, Fox, all the alternative news. I tune into to everything. And I was listening to a call on the Alex Jones show where somebody claimed to be a Virginia state trooper, because Alex was having a special a while back ago about the Richmond, Virginia 2A rally. And the state trooper called in and he says, well, I know what Ralph Northam is doing is wrong, and I know it's illegal, but I'm waiting for the people to come up and do something. Well, we're waiting for you. We don't have the arrest powers like that you do. We don't have the guns. We don't have the backing. So we need to stand up next to our police officers, but the police officers also have to say, I'm not going to separate people's families when no crime has been committed for child protective services. I'm not going to help the medical industry.
Yeah, unfortunately, the reason why police do what they do in the case of CPS cases is they get paid for those pickups, for picking up those kids. They get... I can't remember how much it was. I would have to ask Dave Jose again. I had him on the show recently. If you guys can watch that episode, we talked about that. Corruption. Anywhere there's money, you're going to find corruption. So, and family court cases, they make a lot of money taking kids away from families, unfortunately. So that whole system needs an overhaul, possibly completely defunded. It's a mess. But, speaking of all the lawsuits that are going on, I went to a rally in Boston at the Boston courthouse. I'm going to show you some highlights from that, but this was involving a case between Vince Delaney and Governor Baker, where he was attempting to, actually, I think he might succeed, but the courts are dragging their feet a little bit. We'll get into that in a minute, but it was for the lockdown mandates. And the rally itself was for, so the court hearing was for the lockdown mandates. The rally itself was for the flu shot mandate, which they're pushing on students. So here's a couple highlights from that video. All right, Jennifer Justice back with Free the Truth News here in Boston at the courthouse, where Vincent Delaney has a court case where he is attempting to sue Governor Baker for the lockdown mandates. Most of the people here are for the flu mandate, which Governor Baker recently pushed on school children without a vote or allowing for public comment. Lots of people here today. Beautiful group of people, super excited to be here. And they're setting up behind me to do a bunch of speeches and things. So we're going to hear from Vince Delaney and a couple of other people. And I'll be staying tuned with you guys. I think most people are moving forward now to get closer to the action. So I'm going to move forward with them.
from day 2, on March 12th, I knew the government doesn't take away to give it back. They just keep taking. And Governor Baker definitely overreached on this flu mandate, because I'd rather face a platoon of Marines than some of the angry mummies here.
We're here fighting for our freedom, and we won't stop. Give me liberty or give me death.
Guys, hold those signs up. Hold them all up. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. The support. My child, my choice. Our children, our choice. Community immunity. Charlie Baker's mandates discriminate against children. You're damn right they do. Absolutely. Charlie Baker's a phony. He's a fake. It was
All right. Liberty Dog on YouTube.
All right. There was a great turnout to that rally, and so the court hearing, they were supposed to be giving a ruling on Vince Delaney's case against Baker for the lockdown mandates, and instead of giving the ruling, the judge instead was like, "Oh well, I'll take it under advisement. I'll put it in writing." And so we're still waiting on that. There's no word on how long that's going to take. It could take anywhere from, a week to a few months. Like, nobody knows. They're dragging their feet, I think, very much on purpose. I think Vince Delaney said afterwards that the judge probably feels caught between a rock and a hard place, because if he rules in Vincent's favor, he's basically stripping Governor Baker of his power, which I say strip him of his power. He's a tyrant. But I can understand why that would be a scary thing for a judge to do.
Well, that's the problem, that the judge is a coward. If the judge was going to do the right thing, they would have already done the right thing. And he really can't. I mean, the only power that Charlie Baker has is fraudulent power. There's, I mean, again, this is, some people on the left or even right may argue that public safety could require everybody to have to get a mass vaccination. People called me crazy saying that was going to happen years ago. And now there are mandatory vaccinations. And I mean, it's just incredible that instead of pursuing a life of my own or doing something, I have to spend my free time trying to stop people from getting forcibly jabbed, raped with mercury, thimerosal, insect DNA, animal DNA. We don't got, Big Pharma is like mandating that they rape you now. And it's just absolutely absurd. You saw all the signs, my body, my choice. So there's the hypocrisy is flagrant. And it's just scary how they keep doing this. And the more people are scared of the flu, coronavirus, the more people are going to have to do this too. And, you know, they want Operation Warp Speed to have all these vaccines. The left and the right, last night's debate, they can agree that vaccines are good. And there's no skepticism of vaccines whatsoever. So we're in a big hole here, I think, because, and they're even saying on CNN, the science is concluded. So...
yeah, oh goodness. And that's the thing. Anyone who's spent any time in the health freedom movement has been warning about this for ages, that this is coming, that they're going to mandate this crap. They're going to start mandating it not only on our children, but on our adults. And the fact that nobody believed it, it's like, are your eyes not open? They've already mandated it on our kids, and they keep increasing the schedule. The fact that we even have exemptions tells you right there that we've already lost our rights. You should be able to walk into a doctor's office and say, no, I don't want that. And it should be, okay, end of story. It's your body. It's your choice. We can't force a treatment on you. But no, you have to like jump through hoops, get exemptions. You know, it's
Most
crazy.
people aren't even aware exemptions exist. So they are in every state. I believe New Jersey tried to stop the exemption. We went out there, protested, and some people, there was a big backlash against that. I know they're trying to reintroduce that, but most people don't even know that there are exemptions.
So in California and New York, there are no more exemptions. Technically, there are medical exemptions. However, they have messed the system up so bad with recent bills that it's literally impossible to get a medical exemption. You cannot find a doctor who will write one in California. I'm not sure about New York. I'm pretty sure in New York it's the same story.
And now they're requiring the flu shots in Massachusetts. You can still get your exemption there. But these people are talking about a coronavirus vaccine. Last I checked, we didn't have vaccines for... I mean, we still have all these major diseases. The flu, we can't get rid of the flu. And then all of a sudden, in a couple months, we're going to have a coronavirus vaccine. So none of it makes any sense. And the fact that we're even talking about government mandating, it's a chemical rape. It's literally chemical rape. And you don't even have your own choice to do that. I mean, it'd be illegal if I stuck a syringe in my arm with some heroin there, but the government can do the exact same thing to me, maybe not with heroin, but with other chemicals, and it's perfectly legal. And it's really scary, and that's why I would implore people
and
that are
against your
watching
will.
this, and again, totally against your will. I mean, at least if I'm putting heroin in my arm, I'm choosing to do that, right? And then, you know, so people really need to get out there and start flexing their rights in a nonviolent way, because it can't just be Jennifer Justice out there. It can't just be an idiot with the fake mic and a backwards hat. We need the smart people out there. I'm not smart, but we need other people to get involved and get active, because, I mean, if this is what we're going... I mean, I've been warning about this for a long time. We're here. We're in it now, and it's almost too late. It's literally almost too late. We still have a chance. But I mean, all they need to do is say, "Oh, the pandemic is a little bit worse now. Here comes the second thing. Get back in your homes," and that's it. We've already lost how many businesses, how many freedoms. I don't know how much longer we can go living like this, because we are definitely not free now, and I don't see it getting any better unless people take some nonviolent action quick.
I agree. I have to comment on the whisk, because the fake mic. So if you guys don't already follow Will Turbit at Demand the Truth, his catchphrase is fake mic, real news. I love the fact that you carry that with you everywhere. It's
Well, I used to try to have, if you guys watch my older YouTube videos, I would sit there and I would put on a suit, a very cheesy, cheap, tacky suit, but a suit nonetheless. And I used to carry around a microphone, which wasn't connected to anything. And just for the perception, just because I've confronted a number of government officials, presidential candidates, even local people, and I figured, hey, they'd maybe take me more serious if I looked maybe more presentable. And so I was doing that for a long time, and then people caught on and saying, hey, idiot, that microphone's not attached to anything. Who do you think you're fooling? So then one of the subscribers was like, real news, fake mic. So I thought it sounded better, inverted, fake mic, real news. And I use it to kind of remember to not take myself too seriously. That, you know, you don't have to wear 1,000 pounds of makeup, lie about weapons of mass destruction, get big pharma, start chilling for big pharma, cover up for Jeffrey Epstein, read off teleprompters to express your First Amendment right to freedom of the press and freedom of speech. And it's also a reminder not to take myself too seriously. It's a representation of transparency. And, you know, you got to giggle a little bit, too, because, I mean, the stuff that... There's only a finite pool of worry that human beings have. And, I mean, how much can people like you and I just sit at home, everything's locked down, everything's closed, we're $23 trillion in debt, we have these illegal wars, kids are being separated from their families, 800,000 children go missing every single year.
I think in some ways that this lockdown actually kind of backfired on the people who are behind the agenda. Because, I mean, you can only sit around for so long, isolated, and not start using your brain. And which is the problem, is that this is why Americans are so asleep, is because we're so overworked. We're not sleeping. You know, we're busy. It's go, go, go. And so people haven't had time to research.
That's all by design, too. I mean, if I had the money, the purchasing power of my father or my grandfather, things would have been a little different, right? So my grandpa, he is by no means rest in peace, a rich dude, but he was able to, with his service to the government and to the armed forces, and also with a job at the post office, he was able to feed 8 kids. My grandma didn't have to go get a job somewhere else. He didn't have to work 80 hours, and he could afford things. But due to inflation and the Federal Reserve System, people have to work more hours for less money. The husband and the wife has to get a job, and maybe a couple jobs each. And so I don't blame people. You're brainwashed. You got to work hard. You finally get home.
You're too tired to do anything.
You want to put your hand in your pants, crack a brew. You know, that's
brain turns off.
Yeah, you got to relax a little bit too. You know, and that's all part of this system as well. So it's unfortunate because if people have more time, literally, this government was created that it's active participation. It's we the people. And without that, there isn't a government. And so by making us work long hours and keeping us obsessed on celebrity stuff and miseducating us and brainwashing us and then giving us sports so we yell and scream at the TV.
And they've been selling us a fake American dream for a long time. It used to be, people wanted enough to survive and have time to actually spend time with their families and pursuing, things that were fulfilling. And now, we're all chasing that dollar. Everyone wants a mansion and stuff that's not even sustainable. And it doesn't make you happy. It's a rat race,
Yeah, and they get you chasing the materialistic stuff, but it's even more unfortunate because, now it's tough for people to have a family and just afford the regular
Well, yeah,
stuff,
now it's gotten so bad we can't even get the real American dream, which is
like a house in the suburbs and a car. You know what I'm saying? And that's not even that big of a deal, but today it is a big deal. And
I will say there are a lot of ways to, if you have an entrepreneurial spirit to be able to make it and stuff. But
there are.
But depending on what you want to get into, there are also a lot of monopolies and stuff, which make it very hard.
And there's a lot of hoops to jump through.
So,
I was speaking with this guy who owns a corner store, and I was like, hey, how's business? And he was like, it's not good. This is well before coronavirus. Probably going to have to shut down. You have a fee to pay if you have Keno. You have a fee to pay just to have a register. There's actually a stocking fee just to have stuff up on the shelves. You have to pay, and we're taxed upwards of 40%. It's very difficult to start your own. Yeah, it's very difficult
you need
to
to
start your own
deregulate
business.
everything. Yeah, definitely. I want to circle back to the Flu You Baker thing, because if you guys are interested, this is a movement that's just going to keep growing. It's just going to keep growing, especially with talk of like a coronavirus vaccine, and there are states who are already trying to mandate it. And when it comes to the flu vaccine, that's already a really controversial vaccine. Okay, there are people who are very, very pro-vax, and they won't get the flu shot. And so this is a movement that's just going to keep growing. They're going to be having more rallies. Right now, Vincent Delaney is actually in Florida talking to the attorneys for this case. Go Vincent. But I wanted to talk about something else too. But go to the Flu You Baker page if you want to join in on this movement here, fight against the mandates in Massachusetts, or just to keep an eye on what's going on. But all right, I have to broach this subject carefully because I have a lot of respect for Vincent Delaney and what he's doing. But this is definitely worth mentioning. I guess the media was trying to paint his group as anti-vax, and that's a label that he was very strongly trying to steer away from, because it's not about whether or not you're pro-vax or you're anti-vax or you're somewhere in between, because this movement has people, it's a spectrum, all over the place on this, and that's a great thing. But it's about the mandate. It's about the choice, right? We are against mandates. We're for choice and bodily autonomy. And so the media, again, after this rally, they tried to paint us all as anti-vaxxers. Now, I'm not afraid of the label anti-vax. I will proudly call myself an anti-vaxxer. in the sense that I won't get any vaccines, not in the sense that I'm trying to take away anyone else's right to choose if they want one. But he feels a little bit differently. And so to make a point, today, Vincent Delaney actually went and got his flu shot just to prove that he's not anti-vax. Vincent, why? Why? No, but seriously, thank you for taking one for the team. I mean, we need people with all different opinions and all different walks of life in order to make this movement work. But I really, really hope that you're okay, Vincent, because I mean, I've been hearing a lot of awful things about the flu shot this year, so.
Yeah, it sounds stupid. That sounds like something I wouldn't do, but hopefully, because like we were talking about before, people love to box people into labels, and like Rumi said, once you label me, you defeat me. So if everybody that is pro-vax is seeing this group as the anti-vax, and this guy can counter that and even change one person to change their opinion, then it's well worth it. Hopefully there's no negative repercussions with that flu shot right there. But I mean, people usually end up getting sick and having some adverse reactions. But hopefully,
I think most people just get flu symptoms.
So they just get the flu anyway. So
Yeah.
And the flu changes every season. So there's no way we're just doing guesswork about what it could be. So it's completely ineffectual in the first place. And it would be one thing if we knew it was effectual, it still wouldn't be.
Well, we know that it's completely ineffectual. In fact, we know that it increases your chance of catching upper respiratory disease, including coronavirus, by like 36%.
And Dr. Oz was on Fox News the other day talking about that.
Yes, and they cut him right off.
She's like, so I guess just wrapping up, vaccine. He's like, actually, no, the flu shot.
Don't get it.
And they're she's like, what? I can't hear you. Goodbye. See you later.
Yeah, they cut him off real fast. And he's like, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, oh my gosh. Yeah, the media, they don't have any balls when it comes to Big Pharma.
Well, that's because Big Pharma is all of their advertising. As soon as they go to commercial, and you don't see any commercials here on this show, you don't see any teleprompters, but as soon as they go to commercial, do you have restless leg syndrome? Or do you have a weak elbow? Well, don't worry, we'll give you this pill. You'll have
do you pee your pants sometime?
Bloody anus. You know what I'm saying? You'll develop menopause when you're 15 and a man, but it's okay. We'll get rid of the restless leg syndrome. Are you depressed
and suicidal? Try this pill. It will make you depressed and suicidal.
And also homicide. So.
The media has, they.
And so I saw on Facebook the other day. I was looking through my memories. And they had a fact check over one of my memes, which I believe is the first time they did, and it was a photo of the Sandy Hook guy, the alleged shooter at Sandy Hook, the Batman shooter James Holmes, all these other guys, and it says, hey, these guys were all on psychotropic drugs, right? Yep. And it said false. And I go to read, okay, well,
dude, you can look up the evidence of that. God.
Well, they didn't even say what my meme said was false. They didn't deny the fact that they were all on psychotropic drugs. What they said is there is no link between psychotropic drugs and violence. However, as you just stated right there, if you look on the damn inserts in the commercials, it says
deny.
It says it very clearly right there. So you guys really need to support Jennifer. Support the streams. Jennifer is not getting any backing at all. It's not like the Joe Rogan platform either. We're breaching. Joe Rogan. He'll stop at the third rail. He won't even go anywhere close to this. So if you guys support what she does, please share the video. That's the only way that she can grow. Like, share, and subscribe to her YouTube channel. Get the stream out. Not only share it on your wall, but share it to people in Messenger. Share it on email. Text everything that you can. This is just one simple, free, easy way that takes only a second to share this information. Take her past videos and do that, because we really have to counter what they're saying, because what they're saying is it's unconstitutional, it's unscientific, it's lies, it's immoral.
The media's number one tool in their brainwashing propaganda toolkit is to just repeat, double down, repeat, and it's all lies. And I wonder, with the fact checks, how many people actually read the fact checks and look for the sources? Because when you actually read more than just the headline on the fact check, it becomes very apparent that they have no leg to stand on, and they're just blah 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 blah. It's vomit. It's all lies. But thank you for that, because I always forget to ask people. Yes, like, comment, subscribe.
Honestly, commenting too. If you guys just keep commenting
Algorithms.
on this too, the algorithm is going to, the more comments on this video right now, the more views, the more shares, and everything. So, I mean, Gina Raimondo, she's going to go on, tomorrow, the next day, she's going to have her press conference. She's going to say, hey, mask up. Hey, follow these illegal orders. Hey, me and my homies, aka the state police, are going to be driving around. Don't let me see you outside. She literally said that. Don't let me catch you outside. Hey, I might shut down more businesses. That's going to get 14,000 views, 7,000 views. Let's shove it right up her patootie, and let's let this video get 20,000, 40,000, 30,000 views and more, because they have a monopoly on media and truth right now. So you guys have to support people that are doing the right thing, like Jennifer.
And as often as we hear lies, we have to start getting really brave and bold-faced, because that's how they are, right? They're really bold-faced with all of their lies. And so as often as you hear them lying, we need to insert our truth, insert the truth. I mean, that's really important, because it's the only way to combat this. I mean, we're literally living in a zombie apocalypse, and this is not the kind of zombie apocalypse I was hoping for.
Well, I'm not hoping for any zombie apocalypse.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want either. But at least with a real zombie apocalypse, I can shoot the zombies. Like with this is so dehumanizing.
It's really tough every day. I mean, I feel claustrophobic, and for a long time, I thought to myself, hey, I'd like to have kids, but you know what? Maybe not in the United States. Maybe I've caused too much of a ruckus here. Maybe I'd have to go to another country, you know what I'm saying, or another state. But what the coronavirus has proved is you're not running from this. You're not running from this. We have to stand here and we have to fight. I mean that obviously in a non-violent way. I'm a strong proponent of self-defense, but we have to stay here and fight. There's no running away from this. There's not a place on this globe or flat earth, depending on your perspective, that you can get away from this tyranny. So we all need to make our voices heard, because these people, they've made their voices heard. They've created illegal wars. They've stolen all your money. They're tasked with protecting us and our children and our constitutional rights, and they've done the exact opposite. So now is the time for people to speak your piece, because I mean, we're already in 1984 right now. We're already in the New World Order.
I mean, once you give up your rights, you're not getting them back without a fight. And when I say fight, I mean a real fight. Like right now, we still have a chance to beat this in the courts, to beat this by holding these people's feet to the fire, doing recalls, making sure that you vote and you pay attention. Like, for example, at the rally, Rayla Campbell was there, and she is running for Congress in Massachusetts. She's a great candidate. She's an amazing person. Her eyes are open when it comes to a lot of these issues, but they're scared of her. And so even though she got everything that she needed in order to be included on that ballot, they are not including her on the ballot. She is running as a write-in candidate. You guys need to pay attention. A lot of the real candidates that actually care about the people, they're running as write-ins because the system does not like them.
And that goes to our point earlier, which is, honestly, the voting that should be very far down the list on the list of solutions.
It's much more than voting, and that's a mistake that I made early on in my journey, is thinking that, our patriotic duty is to vote. Like, no, it's not. Read the Declaration of Independence. Our duty is to make sure that we're holding our legislators accountable. We're their boss. And if they're not being held accountable, it's then our duty to physically force them out. If we have to.
The Declaration, it's not only just our right, it's our duty to overthrow tyrannical
That is
governments.
a very radical document, and a lot of people only focus on that one little part about the pursuit of happiness and life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No, it's much more than that. It's a very radical document.
I mean, I would say it's not radical. When tyrants are destroying your life and liberty, it's common sense, and
it's a necessary. It is radical in the sense that, I mean, it does call for violence if necessary.
And you know what? I mean, again, I'm still preaching nonviolence here. But if our founding fathers were here today and saw what was going on, they would be murdering people. They would literally be murdering people. And I do not condone that.
There would be gallows in the streets.
There would be absolutely
right now.
Gallows in the streets. All we're asking for is to share the video, okay? We're not asking to kill anybody or anything like that. Just share the video, get the word out, because people do have empathy. People do care. When Bush and Obama got up there and Bill Clinton was like, we need some money for Haiti right now. Don't send us any supplies. Bush literally said, don't send any supplies, just give us cash. You guys can look that up. People, and same thing with Hurricane Harvey, Superstorm Sandy. People had an outpouring of not just money, not just donations, but people who go and help people out themselves. Our job, Jennifer has already put out the work. She's already done the research. So our job, my job, your job at home is to get the information out there. Because once people are exposed to this information, you have to know there's a problem before you can take action. Most people don't even know the problems that we're facing. So once we make it apparent to those people, they're going to be informed, they're going to have empathy, and then they're going to take action. So Jennifer puts out the information, she does the research, she's on the ground. It's our job as troops in this digital war. I'm not talking about a QAnon digital war. I'm talking about this regular digital war. We need to get the information out there to the sleepyheads.
Yeah, same with Will Turbit here. He does a great job. He's actually, I'm more strong in the medical freedom movement issues, but Will Turbit pays a lot of attention to political things, more so than I do, global news more so than I do. So definitely check out Demand the Truth on YouTube. Hopefully it stays up. And also BitChute, right?
Yes.
Awesome, because that will stay up. Thankfully.
Hopefully, yeah.
But we got to wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming on, Will. This has been awesome.
pleasure. It was an
I've
honor.
definitely got to have you back sometime.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And again, thank you everyone who's watching, liking, subscribing right now. And we will be back. I'll be back next week to talk about other things happening.